In this video, we are discussing Bloom filtering pattern example. So here this video will be assisted with one practical demonstration for the implementation of this task. So Bloom filtering pattern example. So in this example, we will provide a tag list, and inside the tag list there are some tags. In the training phase, it takes the tag list and creates the intermediate data, and that intermediate data will be saved on the SDFS. In the second phase, the MR task will take those comments from the comments.xml. We are having one XML which is known as the comments.xml that do not contain those tags. So here we are creating the tag list at first, and then in the second phase we are finding that from the XML file comments.xml we are finding that is the MapReduce task will take those comments from comments.xml which do not contain those tags which are there in the list. So let us go for one practical demonstration for the better understanding of this concept. Under the design pattern category, that is a filtering pattern design pattern, we are going to implement Bloom filtering pattern example. So here we will be having two parts. The first part is the training part and the second part is the MR task part. In the training part, we shall create one text file, and let the text file name is say tag list.txt, and we shall create one folder. Let it be MR underscore files. We shall create this tag, we shall put this tag list.txt file within this folder, that is MR files, and which will be created into the SDFS, and then we shall use the posts.xml to train our file, to train our the respective application. So now here we can find that we are having posts.xml, and it is under the folder /input/post 108.93 MB. So it is a big file there. So let me go to show you the current content of the posts.xml. Under the posts tags, we are having multiple rows are there, thousands of rows are there, but here we are showing say 3 of them. So here under each and every row we are having multiple different tags, as we have multiple different attributes. As a marking here, we can go for say body, and then we can go for say owner user ID, last edited user ID, last edit date, last activity date, title, then tags, and then answer count, comment count, favorite count, community owned date. So these are the multiple attributes are there under the file that is posts.xml. Now we shall go for the Java programs. We shall show you that we are mainly having the two Java programs are there. So one is MR task will be the Java program, and then we will be having the other one. Here at first we are going to discuss that is a tag list.txt. Here we are having 20 tags are there, 20 tags are there. We are having alarm, networking, PDF, and so on. So these 20 tags are there. So these tags will be referred when we will be going for the searching and filtering. So here we are having two Java programs, Bloom filter trainer.java for the training purpose, and Bloom filter MR task.java for MR task. So under this Bloom filter trainer.java, we are having the respective class, and we are having the respective the inner class is there. There is a Bloom filter mapper containing the Bloom filter object, and we are having the array list tags and the bit number and hash number of the type of integer. We are going to override. We are going to override the method that is a setup, and this particular setup we are overriding because it is extending the mapper class. So here ctx.get cache files is not equal to null, and ctx.get cache files dot length is greater than 0. Then you are just new file you are going to create, that is the tag list is the folder name. So this is the respective file tag name file is there. We are having the buffer reader. We are having the buffer reader class object, and here we are reading the tag file whatever you have defined right now, and then depending upon the, now we are reading it, we are reading this one. So line is equal to buffer reader dot read line, and then we are creating the string bits, and which is the bit array. So we are also creating a string type of object, that is a hashes, and there is a hash function get hash function. we're just going to define two variables, that is initializing two variables, bit number and hash number, from these bits and the hashes. So we're converting the string to the respective integer using parse int. So in this way, we are just defining one Bloom filter object with this hash number and bit number and the hash dot murmur hash. We're just calling the setup with the respective context as input. So the respective method will be called here, which is overwritten. As we have extended the mapper class, so here we are overriding the map method. This map method is having one hash map object, that is a XML parsed, which is getting initialized by the output of this XML to map. XML to map is one method we have defined here. This map method will take one XML as input and returns one hash map object as output, and that will initialize the respective XML parsed. There is a where here we are having the string tag. So from the respective post ID and tags, you can find that if you go to this posts.xml, the respective tags are there. So we are actually reading, we're just mapping those tags here. ID, post ID is for ID, and the tags will be for tags. So if tag is not is equal to null or post ID is equal to null, then you are returning. You are not going for the rest part of the code. Otherwise, you are just going for a string for each tag in tags. If tag.contains tag n, so tag.contains tag n, Bloom filter dot add new key, there is a post ID dot get bytes. So in this way, you are going with this adding with this Bloom filter object. There is a post ID here we are having, and everything has been kept under the try catch block for the exception handling. We're overriding one method, there is a cleanup. We're overriding one method, that is a cleanup, and here there is context.write, null writable.get, and Bloom filter. So this particular method we are overriding here. Next we are going to discuss. Next we shall go and we are going to discuss the class that is the Bloom filter reducer, which extends reducer. Here we are having the member variables, that is the bits of the type of string and hashes of the type of string there, and they are getting initialized. The bit number and hash number is getting initialized after converting the string to the integer. Bloom filter object we have defined here. In the same way, we are doing the same, and in case of this in our reducer. So we are defining one iterator, there is a values.iterator, and this is the iterator has next. So the next iterator will be taken into care of. So Bloom filter bloomf will be initialized with that, and bloom filter dot or bloomf. Now we shall go for the file system. So file system is equal to file system dot get context dot get configuration, and we know that we are going to define one path, that is the /mr underscore files /filter obj. So this is a file system path we are just mentioning here. Bloom filter dot write stream. So stream is nothing but fs data output stream object. So then we are going for stream dot flush and stream dot close. So in this way, we have just made the new path, that is our /mr files /filter obj. Let us come to this main function now. We require to pass 4 parameters as a command line argument. So there is the array size, has function number, input, and output. So if the number of parameters are not same, we are going for system.exit2. We are going for set bit array and has function with this argument 0 and argument 1. That is the first and second arguments. We are defining one job instance. The name of the job is Bloom filter trainer, the name of the job. We're also going for add input path and add set output path with this args2 and args3, which we are passing as command line argument, and set mapper class, that is a Bloom filter mapper, which is there, and we are also having the inner class, there is a Bloom filter reducer, which will be the reducer class here. So here we require only one reducer, so we are going for set num reduce task 1. So we are going for this add cache file. So whatever you have defined earlier, that is the mr underscore files tag list.txt. So there is the name of the file where the respective tags were there, and /hash tag list. We are going to define this map output key and map output value with null writable class and Bloom filter class type, and also the set output key class and set output value class also with the null writable class and bloom filter class. We're just checking the current status whether it is successful or not, and we shall go for the we shall exit with that particular status. Now we shall go, and this is the current content. We shall go for the bloom filter mr task.java. So here we're defining one enumerator object. Enumerator object is there, that is our selected counter. So it is having only one value, that is selected. We're extending the mapper. There is a bloom filter mapper. We're extending the mapper. Having got two member variables, that is a bloom filter object bloom filter and text post id, and they are getting instantiated using the respective class objects. We're overwriting the setup method because mapper class is having one method, that is a setup, and if the context.get cache files not equal to null and context.get cache files is dot length is greater than 0, we're going for file filter file is equal to new file, that is a dot filter obj, so dot slash filter obj. So in this way the filter file is getting updated. And also we are going for this get path. There is a filter file dot get path and filter file dot get path. All of them are used to initialize the data input stream class object. Bloom filter dot read fields, that is a stream system dot out dot println. We have done that one. Now what we shall do is that here also we are having the XML to map. This XML to map, as I told you earlier, it will take one XML file as input and produces the hash map object as output. That will be instantiating your XML parsed. So string.postid is equal to XML parsed dot get, that is ID. ID is the respective, the respective attribute post ID. If post ID is equal to null, then return. I should not go for the rest part. Otherwise post ID dot set post ID. If bloomfilter.membership test, we are going to check the membership, whether this tag is existing there or not. Context.write null writable.get, that is a post ID, and then context.get counter, that is a selected counter.select, which will be incremented by 1. So if it is a member, then it will be incremented by 1. So that's why you are going for the membership test, and everything has been put within the try catch block to handle the exceptions. Now this is our main function. So in this particular main function, we're going to have this length, the length of this command line argument. So that will be 2. We're supposed to give the input and the respective output. So here we're going for the set jar file class, set mapper class, set number reduce task. It is only a map only job, so reduce task is 0. No reduce at a class has been used. So set output key class and set output value class. So there is a null writable class and text class. Now job.add cache file. So respective path has been provided, and then hash filter job obj, and then add input path from the argument 0. Set output path from the argument 1. So added input slash output path, so the message will be printed. Now we are going to check the status. The code will get the status whether the completion has got success or not. Then there is a job.get counters, find counter, so we are going to write them in the respective output. There you can find, we're going to write them in the respective output. Now let us go for the jar file creation. So this is the jar file you are finding. We're supposed to mention the respective file name and the path. We have already created the jar file, so we're not going to create it again. So simple steps are click on next and then finish. So now let me execute my code now. Let me execute my project. So we have come to this terminal. So let me execute my commands one by one, because it is a long procedure. So we're going for sdfs dfs minus mkdir, and then we shall go for slash, there is a mr underscore files. So at first we are creating this folder. Let me check. If I go for refresh, yes, mr files, the folder has got created. Let me come back to my console. So folder has got created now. Now let me do a copy of that file tag list.txt within that folder. So sdfs dfs minus put, there is the current path and then home path and then MapReduce design pattern. There is a path there. Tag list.txt, the text file will be put onto that mr underscore files in this folder. So the file has been copied there. So this part we have done. So for these mr files you can go, I can check that tag list.txt file has been copied onto the folder. Hadoop jar. So here we are supposed to mention the path where you have kept the jar file. This is a path here, MapReduce underscore design pattern jar files slash jar files is the respective path, and then filtering pattern dot jar. Then we are supposed to write the respective package name and then class name. So trainer. So here we are passing this 1005. So let me show you that why this 1005 is there, because here the array size and the hash function number, array size and hash function number. Then you shall give the input path and then you shall go for the output path. Let me execute the command now. Yes, the command is okay. So let me see that what are the outcomes. Yes, the command executed successfully. Everything is okay now. We shall go for SDFS, DFS, then we shall go for LS only to show you the current content of MR files. This is the current content of this MR files folder. So filter obj and tag list.txt. If you go for the refresh, you can find that filter obj and tag list.txt. So two files have been created under the mr underscore files folder. Now we shall go for SDFS and then DFS rm-r output folder. So in this way you can find that how the things are working. Now we shall delete the respective output folder here, because we are supposed to execute the next Java program. So SDFS DFS minus rm minus r output. So this folder is now getting deleted. So let me start with the next Java program. So we shall issue the command, that is our Hadoop jar. There is a MapReduce design pattern jar files. Then you shall go for filtering pattern dot jar. Bloom filter is a package name, Bloom filter. mr task is the class name. Is our input folder, and also we are mentioning the output folder. command has been executed. Yes, you see we are having the selected output is 106808. So this is a selected output we are getting here. So depending upon the condition, the filtered number of rows is 106808. So in this way we got the output. So I hope that you have got the idea. It is a long process, so many steps are there. You can rewatch the video again, and thanks for watching.